Hey guys, I want to shoot a video here of the rocker assembly installs. This is the Gen 6 454 for the Silverton and Marco Island. I made a statement last night about the torque specs on these engines and how I typically go about it. One I like to use is www.perfprotech.com. This is Performance Product Technologies. I'll just stick it in front of the camera here. They're really awesome about no frills, no BS. You type in 454, Mercruiser torque specs, boom, the first page that comes up is a listing for all of the torque specs. I mean, even like the water pump, things that are marine specific is where I'm going with this. So great website for building out a marine engine. I'm sure they have the Vortex 350s and the 305s, the small stuff as well. But long story short, I just want to get that info out if there's any of you guys out there that are interested in really good specs, because most of the times when we do searches for torque specs, we end up on hot rod head websites, and sometimes that stuff just does not apply. I made a statement that the rocker bolts torque up to 40 to 45 foot-pounds. That is correct, but they torque up to 40 foot-pounds on a standard 454. Okay, like the 330 horsepower, give or take 340 horsepower. And once you go to the 454 Magnum or the 502, these torque up to 45 foot-pounds. Why the difference? I don't really know if it's all that critical. Would it hurt to torque these to 45 foot-pounds? Probably not. I mean, I don't see why not. It's probably just the 502 handles a hell of a lot more vibration and the higher RPMs and all that jazz. So anyway, 40 foot-pounds is what these are going to be torqued to. They're not torqued yet. I've gotten all of them assembled. All the push rods are in. And before I forget, this is really important. A lot of times, like you see right here, it's almost impossible to see down in the engine. And probably some people would say, well, yeah, if you'd put the rocker assemblies in first and then put the intake on, you wouldn't have to worry about that. But when you're in the middle of the damn bay and the boat's rocking around and it's 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, all my rockers were dirty. They hadn't been cleaned yet. I wanted to make progress, so that's why I did all the intake install first. All of this stuff was clean. I wanted to get the engine buttoned up because there's these crazy little bugs and gnats in South Florida flying around. They're trying to get down in the engine, so the quicker you can get it buttoned up in a what I called an uncontrolled environment, by far the better. But where I'm going with this is let's say you're going to put this rod in, and I'll show you how I put assembly lube on the ends of them there, and then I sight down into it and I know pretty much where it's going to be. Okay, I'm perfectly centered right now. I know I'm in the lifter, but if you want to get a telltale assurance that you are in the lifter, lift up and be kind of pushing it to one side, and you'll hear it and you'll feel it jump up on the little shelf of the top of the lifter. And then that lets you know that you're not in some sort of crazy ass position, because when you're looking at this stuff upside down, backwards, and from the front, and you're trying to get these back here aligned, this is one of the reasons I didn't shoot the video, because I was so freaking mad trying to keep it all together and keep it aligned. It's really difficult in an uncontrolled environment to put this stuff together, but you got one shot at it. You can't guess at it. So that's a good way of being able to feel. You lift up and you jump on that shelf, then you let it go back in, and then you turn it, and then you go from there. Okay, I got a little long-winded there. Let me speed up a little bit. All right, I'm going to try to what I'm going to do is show how. I got crazy lighting here. Let's see if I can figure some way to hold this back. Alright, I'll do this. I'm just going to stick that in there. But the way I assemble these, I'm holding it with one hand. Obviously I'm just doing this because I need something to hold it for me. And what I do is I kiss those two joints together, and I squeeze a little bit of the assembly lube into the, in other words, I'm loading that push rod with a little bit of assembly lube, not oil, because it would just come out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just sight this one in. Okay, I felt it go in, and it's nice and smooth. I'm going to pull up, hear the click. I just hit the shoulder or the side. I'm sitting up on the shoulder. Now I let it go back down and I push it. Now stay the hell away from it. Don't get in here and get frustrated and bumping around and knocking stuff, because you run the risk of knocking it out of position. Now I'm going to, oh, I had it upside down. First off, I'm not left-handed, and I'm not ambidextrous, I don't think. Anyway, I'll put that there. This may not work. I may just have to video the best I can, but then I assembly lube. Now I've already cleaned these thoroughly, and I put the assembly lube on this shaft first, pushed it together, twisted around. Now you see I just put assembly lube there, putting it together. So I know I've got the assembly lube. Oh, I forgot. Very important that you, now typically what I would do is, as a molly, sorry about the lighting, the sun's coming in, it's probably blinding that. What I just did was I just put assembly lube there and then on there. What I typically would do is just like a molly graphite. If I'm building an engine, I'm sorry about the camera, I'm just going to try to put this together. Typically I would use a molly graphite, but I'm going to be cranking this engine before the day's out, so assembly lube is fine. Could have put any type of engine oil on that. Okay, all you want to do is just get it started. Jump up here. Let's see if I can get back so the light's not so crazy. Obviously when I'm working with one hand, but when I'm doing this it's much more controlled and it's a little bit more clean. And now I'm just kind of loading it up. See if I can get that in the light. And I'm being very wasteful with the assembly lube as well in this one. But I just kind of want to show the process, because, you know, I made a statement last night, oh yeah, you know, this is easy, you're not even really thinking it. Uh oh, I didn't see that stick was in the way. It's not easy. It's not that it's easy, it's very delicate work, and you have to be very careful. See, like right now I truly need my other hand. I'm gonna have to set the phone down. Okay, that got it started. Now those two are really loose. I don't like using a socket. I prefer to just use the drive, you know, the 1/2 inch universal drive, because you'll see in a second what I'm going to do. I'm going to go all the way down till I feel it get kind of kissing. Then I'm going to back up about a 1/2 inch. If you're with the ratchet, you got to fool with loosening the ratchet. Now I'm going to ease over here. Again, I apologize for the camera work. I know it's probably a little bit jumpy, but okay, now I kiss the bottom. Now I back off a little bit. Now what I'm going to do, now I'm going to sit the camera down for this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of grab hold of this push rod guide, and I'm going to kind of work it as I'm tightening it down to make sure that it's not kicked to the left or kicked to clockwise, you know, clockwise, counterclockwise, or to the left or to the right. That way, because I've pulled these apart before, and the shanks of the push rods were worn really, really bad, where someone got them off a little bit and there was just funky alignment. So again, I'm going to set the phone down, and I'll try to, yeah, it's just not worth it. Let me get this lined up first. See, if you're working with a ratchet, you're sitting there trying to fight counterclockwise, clockwise, gearing and everything. Okay, now I got it perfectly centered, and I just give it kind of a wrist torque. Okay, hang on, let me get my hand cleaned off because I don't want to pick the phone up with all that assembly lube all over my hands. But what you're shooting for there is to delicately, you know, put it together, but not just, you know, delicately put it together, but also keeping an eye on the fact that everything is lining up and nothing's getting cocked out of position, because surprisingly enough, there are points down in the engine where the push rod could be landing on the upper part of the block and stuff like that, and or either like up on the shelf of the lifter, and you'll get a false reading. Now probably once the engine started turning over a little bit, it would probably jump in position, but that's not the way we want to build an engine. You know, we want everything to go together exactly where it should be. Again, I typically would use a moly graphite lube on all of those joints, but you know, I like the assembly lube at a minimum. Also, in this scenario where you're getting ready to crank it within a day or two, just traditional engine oil would have been fine on that. So again, I'm going to torque these to 40 foot-pounds, and what I meant by these are easy, I don't have to lash anything. I just set my torque wrench. I usually set my torque wrench to 20, and I run everything up to 20, and then just again kind of get a feel, maybe see if the rods that are loose still spin, or if I torque up to 20 and there's still really some sort of bizarre looseness in some of them, then I got a problem. I got to stop, other than knowing that the lifters are not primed yet. So be careful, that'll give you a false reading, because a lot of these bottomed out relatively easy and you're thinking, oh shit, are the push rods too short, stuff like that. But you know, you go up here and you verify your numbers and stuff like that, and it'll guarantee you that it's for a Gen 6 and maybe not an early Gen 5 and stuff like that, or certainly a Mark 4, because they're all specific. So anyway, long video there, but I think look, there's one of those damn little bugs that I was talking about. So anyway, I'm going to shut the video down there, guys, and I appreciate you watching. Thanks.